Today I'm going to talk about the Indian dance Kathakali. All visual elements in this presentation have originated from Kalpa or other sources I will show. Evolution of Kathakali. According to the Kathakali company, in the 17th century, the king of the town, Kathakali, was very interested in the dance group. He invited them to his palace, but they refused the offer. Out of humiliation, he decided to create a new group, a new type of dance. He called it Ramanattam. It was based on 8 stories on Lord Rama, which is an important deity in Hinduism. This became very popular because people already knew the stories. They knew what's going to happen, but it's a bedtime story they heard their entire life in such a fabulous and complex way, they were captivated with it. This was very popular, and because of that they decided to increase it. They took other stories from Hindu epics and Sanskrit, and because of that, Ramanattam was no longer a suiting name. They decided to change it into Kathakali. Katha meaning story and Kali meaning play. According to India time zone, the indigenous Tibetan of Kerala were the indigenous people of the area. They were worshippers of the goddess of the earth, and with that they had adoration to snakes. With adoration to snakes, they had snake festivals and snake dances. This was very important contribution to the climax of Kathakali and to the contribution. With Nair, which was the future people who came there, they had modernized impact on the plays, on Kathakali. Both their cultures fitted together in perfect harmony into what we see as Kathakali today. According to the British chronicles, in the past, Kathakali only came from sources as Hindu epics and Sanskrit. However, these days, in the 21st century, it has changed. There have been Kathakali dances on Shakespeare stories and even the Holy Bible. Costumes and makeup. According to the book, Kathakali dance drama where gods and demons come to play. In Kathakali, there are many different types of costumes, headgears, makeup, face coloring, and there are all types of silent communication, which I will talk about later. I'm now going to talk a bit more about makeup. There are 5 main makeup styles in Kathakali. The first one being Paka, meaning green. This, for noble characters, it will usually come with red coral lips, and like Lord Vishnu or Lord Rama, which we talked about earlier. The next one, being Tadi, meaning red, will be more evil-natured characters. However, characters in Kathakali are complex, which means their face wouldn't be completely red, it will be a combination of the colors. They'll have red stripes or red beard. Kali, meaning black, will be demons, middle ground characters, hunters, will be mischievous characters. Those characters, just as Tadi, they will not have completely black face, it will be a combination between the colors. Minuka, meaning radiant, will usually come with yellow. Yellow represents monks and feminine character. However, if it's radiant yellow Minuka, it will be a virtue feminine character. Veltadi, meaning white beard, will be an unnatural character with a conscience, like a god. Those characters will be, however, the consciousness might be lost if their beard is red or black. According to cultural India, in Kathakali there are 3 different types of roles. You have the musicians, you have the vocalist, and you have the dancer. The musicians use mainly 3 types of drum: Idakaya, Senta, and Madalam. This is an example of Madalam. We can hear the drums are very high beat and fast. This will mean in Kathakali this morning it's a chase, it's a fight. It will help set the context to the scene to the audience before it even started. According to Kerala Kalamandalam, in Kathakali the vocalist trains for years in order to be in control on the ragas. Ragas are the different forms of using of the voice, which means they can have very high-pitched voice, which will be in anger, or if it be a sad tone, it will mean of begging. Silent communication. In Kathakali, silent communication is a big important key role. For example, the facial expressions. According to Manish Lakhani, characters in Kathakali, the dancers use something called Kodidatam, which means they strictly say and act what is being said by the vocalist, what is being said in Sanskrit. However, they're still using something called Navrasams. There are 9 Navrasams, 9 facial expressions. They can present sadness, happiness, anger, disgust, love. This is telling the audience another form of saying what the characters are feeling without actually saying it out loud. Mudras, which are my conventions. According to Kathakali school, there are 24 main mudras and 417 mudras in total. 417 symbols that can be symbolized by mudras. According to Cyber Kerala, I'm going to talk about Tripaka. Tripaka is this mudra. By the use of this mudra, you can symbolize a lightning bolt or a shooting of an arrow. However, if you use both hands, you can have the use of a crown, a pigeon, or a lamp. Characters and dancers in Kathakali use the mudras as a form of communicating with the audience without actually speaking, like sign language. Thank you very much. I'm now going to talk more about my convention, which are the mudras in Kathakali. First, I will expand on my journey to understand mudras. I faced two main difficulties when learning mudras. The first one was the physical difficulties. Mudras are a series of unnatural movement. It takes great tension and concentration and flexibility and strength in your hands at all time, or you will lose the right form. And in order to do that, it took me a lot of time and practice and repetition. This helped me understand the reasoning for why the dancers in Kathakali take years over years to master the mudras alone, not talking about the other elements that I will discuss later. The second part was the mental difficulties. It took me 100 of times, so each mudra I had to practice hours over hours, watching the videos and trying to get every little piece. As I didn't have a teacher to explain me properly how to do it, I had to use my own resources, the internet, videos, and my creativity to properly learn mudras. I'm now going to talk about how to transform Kathakali text into a full piece. I divided it into three main parts, and I'm going to discuss each one, with the first one being understanding the story. I chose the story of Nalakarizam. According to Wikipedia, Nalakarizam is a story from Hindu epics that goes over 4 days long. Each day can be portrayed for over a whole night in real life, as Kathakali is a slow form of art. I can explain you the whole plot in 20 minutes, however to do it will take over 48 hours. The story is a love story between Nalan and Damayanti. I will explain about the characters a bit more. It's about their struggles and how at the end they make their way back to each other. The four main characters are Nalan. He is a king, a virtue man, and the main character of the story. The story revolves around him and his romance with Damayanti, which is the second character, Damayanti. She is a princess from another kingdom. She is a perfect fit for Nalan, and because of that, a lot of different characters in the story, including the gods themselves, work together to make sure they'll be with each other. Hamsam is a golden swan. He is the advisor of Nalan, and he mainly features in day 1 on the way to make sure Nalan and Damayanti will marry. The last character is Kali. Kali is the villain of the story. He also wanted to marry Damayanti, however, as she married Nalan, he decided that he will do everything in his power to make sure they will break up. He does it and because of him, they lose their kingdoms, they are shunned to the forest, and they are almost dying. Even Damayanti remarriage, which brings us to the features: love, separation, and betrayal. Love and separation repeat each other as the story goes, but betrayal comes as Damayanti remarried and Nalan thought she betrayed him. However, at the end, it was all a misunderstanding and they went back to each other. The next part in transforming is learning the mudras. But before we talk about the mudras, we need to talk about the specific text I'm going to do. The text is day 1, scene 4, the ending of it. It features Hamsam, the golden swan, and Damayanti, which is a princess. According to Kathakali art blog, at the scene we have Damayanti and Hamsam. At the scene, Hamsam is testing Damayanti to see if she's worth Nalan. He is asking her, do you believe, would you date Nalan if your father disapproved, or would you date Nalan if you had another husband that you love? Damayanti says it will never happen, as her love to Nalan is as river goes to the ocean. It's natural. Nothing will be able to stop it. Hamsam is pleased with the result, but before he is leaving, Damayanti is asking him to describe Nalan, which leads us to the part I'm going to do. This is Hamsam happily does it to make sure the relationship will go better. He talks well about Nalan and portrays him in a beautiful way. I use 10 main mudras in this. According to Sabamangala Production and Simon Kerala, here are the mudras. The first one being Hamsapakasha, meaning face. The next one being Suchimukulam, meaning eyebrow or ears. Mushti, meaning steadfast or loyal. Mukulam, meaning navel. Alapadma, meaning showing beauty. Pataka, meaning an ideal king. Kabitakam, meaning a step. Mushti, again, but this time with both hands. This is in order to talk about beauty again. Tripataka, the mudra we showed before, is body. Mudakayam, meaning wisdom. And the last one is Samputa, which is reassuring. This is about Hamsam reassuring Damayanti that her relationship with Nalan is meant to be. The last part is adding other elements. When talking about other elements, we have more than just the mudras. The mudras alone do not help portray the message. It does not show how Hamsam tries to convince Damayanti what a great man Nalan is. In order to do that, we have the drums, we have the movement in between the mudras, we have the pace, and we have the repetition. I'm now going to show a scene of Hamsam. I will play Hamsam talking about Nalan. As you can see, the scene is far more powerful. You can convey much more emotions when you have not only the mudras but the movement in between, the drums in the background. It all helps set the tone and pass the message properly. So even though the mudras are the main feature, it all together is needed to portray this picture. Which brings me to the reflection and the ending of my presentation. I will now discuss the effect of practical exploration of mudras on my development as a performer. I found out I developed in 4 main areas as a performer. The first one being body control and awareness. I have improved my body control, my muscles, because in order to do mudras, you have to have control over every single muscle in your hands. My awareness of my posture, my body positioning, and my movement, it helped me create a more polished and impactful stage presence, because if I'm talking like this and I'm slouching, you'll not really see much. However, if I'm coming, I'm stomping on the ground, you can see me moving my hands. There is much more power and emotion, and you can feel me more, understand me more, you want to listen to me. And this will be helpful in every theater performance I will ever do. The next one being non-verbal communication. It's more in a more engaging way. It's more interesting for the audience to see me perform mudras instead of just saying the information out loud, which also brings us to authentic emotions. If I'm saying I'm sad, I'm hungry, I am angry, I am depressed, it doesn't mean much. However, by showing it with mudras, it's much more profound, and the audience really feels what I feel, which is in a way that you could never truly express with words. The third one being discipline and patience. In order to get to the level of mudras I have today, I had to repeat the learning and watch videos over and over and over, and it created a strong work ethic. I have the dedication, the repetitive practice helped me create a growing mindset of constant improvement that will also go along with me to whatever play I do, so I will always get to become the best performer I can. The final one, being rhythmic sensitivity. If you noticed, I did the mushti mudra exactly at the drum's climax. This is because rhythm is a very important feature of Kathakali. Rhythm, and by following the rhythm, you amplify the message. The audience can truly understand it much better than if I just did every feature on its own. At the beginning, I struggled with following the rhythm. However, as time passed and I progressed in this process, my body learned to naturally tune itself to the rhythm, which will also help me in whatever performance I do in the future. The last slide, and my final part of my reflection presentation, is the effect of researching Kathakali on my understanding of theater in the world. Kathakali is a form of art that I never realized before. I never knew it existed. The whole world of Hindu epics and mudras, it's a whole new world in general that I got open to through this presentation. I learned to appreciate that culture and learn from it. Kathakali is where music and physicality combine to create a cross-cultural, cross-linguistic experience, form of art that you don't need to just listen to it, you need to see it. It's all combining together, creates this amazing form of art called Kathakali. The development of Kathakali from Ramanatam, they developed from another form of art, and they all developed into different branches of theater in the world, is so impressive, and you can see that also in the different influences. The Nahirians and Dravidians have very obvious influences over Kathakali, and we can see how it changed over the years, which we can also see how it relates to other forms of theater. For example, the makeup in Kathakali very similar to pantomime makeup and other forms of theater. So you can see, even though they came from different branches, they still have similarities, which is very interesting. My final understanding of Kathakali from this research presentation is there is no need to know the language. You don't need to understand navrasams, which are the face expressions, or mudras, which are the sign language. You don't need to understand any of this, because as long as you truly listen and go into the experience, the drums, the music, the singers, the dancer, it all combines, conveys such a powerful message that is incredible. Thank you very much. This was my research presentation about Kathakali.